Good morning. Start of another day, another adventure. And my plan for today is to go deeper go farther away from human civilization, find a new campsite, and then, well, I guess my ultimate goal is to find a campsite where I can bury the next coconut butter. I kind of see that as my the theme of my exploration into the wilderness. And in my mind, years in the future, I could see there's a trail of coconut butter which crosses many states of the United States, you know? So, we planted number 1 yesterday, and I don't know if we'll plant number 2 today, but we're going to go looking for the next spot to plant one. So, anyways, last night I got woke up about 2 a.m. by a pack of coyotes making a bunch of noise. They weren't in the camp, but they were pretty close to the camp. So normally I'm not really worried about coyotes, and honestly, you know, coyotes pretty much never attack humans, at least not in a way where a human dies. You know, there's very few recordings of that ever happening. But it does sometimes happen to the point where, you know, you got to kind of stand up and defend yourself. And so, you know, I'm starting to think about ways to maintain this minimalistic way of sleeping, you know, not needing to put up a shelter, but also so that I'll be more easily defendable if they do decide to come check out camp and maybe encircle me. So the encircle thing is kind of the important aspect out here. I think it'd be good if I tried to make sure that like at least half of me is not encircleable, so against a wall or against a bush or something like that. So anyways, and also, well, yeah, anyways, making sure that there's, you know, human urine around, I think is also helpful, because they probably recognize the smell as something they don't want to get involved with. So anyways, I'm not too worried about animals, but of course I do think it is wise to stay mindful of it. And I always keep my Cahlen monk spade here in case it becomes necessary in the middle of the night. I keep my glasses and my flashlight right next to me, right? So I can just grab them and do what I need to do. So anyways, we'll see what's gonna happen today. I don't know if I'm gonna eat before I go or if I'll go and then eat, but I'm gonna start the day with my normal sun gazing and standing qigong type routine. So see you a little later. So I'm getting ready to pack up and head out, and basically I'm finding I want to fit that bucket, that 8-pound bucket of coconut butter, into my bag, but my bag was pretty much already full. So I need to find a way to move some stuff that was inside outside, especially since it's warm today and I'm not wearing all of my clothes like I usually would. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, because I've been wanting to do that anyways, and that'll basically make it so I can roll it up. Currently at its full length, it fits in the straps on the bottom of the bag, but just barely. And what I want to do is add the Swagman's roll and the bivy sack to the roll, right? So I'm going to cut out half of this. That'll give me that much more space for those 2 items, and then I can pack those both on the back, which is where I have been wanting them to end up anyways, over, you know, as I progress here. So I'm going to start cutting. Okay, so I'm just going to fold it in half basically. And then take out my knife and start cutting along a single line. So now I have 2 sleeping mats, which are long enough that I can curl up and sleep on my side on either one. So if it's warm enough, and even if it's cold, as cold as it is right now, I can sleep on one pad, and that's down to around 0 degrees or so. You know, I'm going to start to notice it at that point. And then I can have another one stacked up on top of it, right? So that'll double the insulation there. And basically, if I'm going on a really cold adventure, I can take both of them. And if I'm going on a normal adventure, I just take the one. So next I'm going to take my summer sleeping bag, or my Swagman's roll, also kind of like my outer jacket, and I'm going to put it inside the bivy sack. Go with the wind, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to seal up the bivy sack at the top here. Well, I guess I'm not going to seal it up. Zipper is not moving. This is like the theme of all my gear. It's always the zippers. The zippers are always the things that break, so be careful with your zippers. So anyways, I'm just going to kind of even them out. And I'm going to fold it on itself. And then I'm going to place it on top of the sleeping pad. So this is actually the first time that I've done this. I've had it in my mind, but I haven't actually done the experiment yet, so we're going to see how this goes. I'd like the corners to be in so they're not poking out, but that's of course going to add here. This side's thicker than this side, so I'll fold this one in and then I'll move it. So I'll move this in a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to pull it a little bit this way, and then I'm going to start the roll with this thing, and then I'm going to come over the top with the thermarest. And I want this to be really tight, so I'm going to use my knee. Oh, keep that in there. Okay, we got my bed sandwich. Oh, burrito, I guess. And now we're gonna see if it fits. Please fit. Oh, come on. Yeah, fits. This one's a little tighter. Cool. And I just ordered a less wide one, so I'm not catching on things while I'm walking, so I'll be cutting that one in half too. And actually this thing makes a really nice stability, right? So this, normally this would want to fall back like this, standing up here, but this supports it, so it's actually a really nice thing. So I'm going to be back in probably a couple of days, so I'm going to leave some stuff that I'm not taking here. I'm going to leave that mat there, and then I'm going to leave those 3 plastic containers. So that mat and those plastic containers, basically they're things that I could lose without it really hurting me very much. So I put those in a place where maybe it's a little more obvious. I'm not going to worry about hiding them really well. And but I am going to also leave my titanium cooking pot and stove here, because I'm just gonna, all the food I'm taking is that bucket of coconut butter, and that's what I'm going to be eating for the next day or two, or however long I do that, just to see how that goes. So let me show you the hiding spot for the titanium. Can you see it? Okay, this is what I've got left to pack. I put the bucket in there, and below that is basically the stuff sack with my clothes, and below that is the stuff sack with my sleeping bag, and then the first aid kit and toiletries are down there at the bottom. So now I just have to get my coat in there somehow. All right, time to move. The goal for this little trek is just to find a new camp spot that's farther away from human activity, and closer to the spring, I think. So that's, unless something happens in between now and then, that's where you'll see me next. Check out these 2 dens sitting in the middle of the hillside here. They go back pretty far. I bet you they connect. But anyways, I think it's probably a pretty small animal. because I don't see any. Whoa, I'm on a hill here. I'm going to slide down. Here's an example of prickly pear cactus that are good to eat. These look basically what they look like, you know, in other parts of the year. And the reason is they're largely sheltered from the sun. So the sun comes over there and there's all these trees in the way, so it's not drying out as much. Also, it gets a slow drip of melted snow because the ground, when it gets snow, doesn't melt as fast here. So I'm back at the spring, as you can see, and basically I'm just gonna fill up water here. And I'm wondering, I might sleep here tonight. It might be interesting to see what the temperature is like in the canyon, you know, in the middle of winter, whether it actually does get a lot colder, or if it just gets colder earlier and thus is not as wonderful for as long. So anyways, I'm going to fill up my water by pouring this into this, right? It's hard to fill this up in a puddle, but it's easy to fill up the titanium container and then pour into this. So I do think that the reason that I got the chills the other night, and I think several days ago, the first day maybe I was out here, I started to feel a little bit of stomach issue. It probably is from the spring water, but it was always fixed whenever I had chlorine dioxide afterwards. So what I'm going to do now is add it preemptively to the water. And ideally I get to the point where my body's so used to it that it doesn't need me to clean it in this way. So what I'll do is I'm going to start with a certain number of drops, I think about 3. Maybe I should do more than 3. We'll do 3. We're just going to risk it, and if I start to get a feeling, but I think 3 will be enough. So basically 3 drops of each in this little dropper thing. 1, 2, 3. That's hydrochloric acid solution. And then this is sodium chloride solution. 1, 2, 3. And then I just wait. It's going to have turned yellow, and it's reacting pretty quickly. It's giving off chlorine dioxide gas. That's the stuff that we want to infuse into the water, because that's what's going to do all of the magic. So I'm just going to pour it in, and then I'm also going to clean it a little bit, so I'll pour a little bit of water into it, the cap, and then pour it back in. Whoop. All done. So anyways, what I think I'll do is start at 3 and then work myself back. So I'll do this for, I don't know, few weeks, and then go to 2, and then go to 1, and then go to 0, and see if I'm now immune to the whatever is in this puddle of water. So this is kind of the path to the spring, and you can see it's kind of overgrown and easy to get through without a backpack, but when you have a backpack it's a little rough. Already cleared this out a little bit, but then we got this gauntlet, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of clearing. That's better. Hear that noise? That's 2 fighter jets that just flew overhead. I can't get them in the camera because they're behind the clouds now, but what's 2 fighter jets doing flying out here? There went 2 more. Both sets going the same direction, coming from same place about 5 minutes later. And there was 2 warplanes in formation each time. I don't know if you could see that, but there's 2 more 5 minutes later. Oh, there's 2 more. That's 8. Dude, they're right next, like super close to each other. There's a formation of 4 of them. Okay, I did a bunch more work, and now I'm gonna sit down and eat some coconut butter. You can see this is the first time I've opened this, and basically just cut down here, and you got to cut in multiple places along the top that look just like this one, and then you're able to pull it off basically. So when you get it, there's almost certainly going to be probably that much or so, we'll see, of just coconut oil. This is just coconut oil. So we're going to dig down until we get to actual coconut butter. So you can see this piece right here is mostly coconut butter. It'll be a harder and slightly darker substance. Anyways, I eat the coconut butter, and then I save this for various other things. I might add it to my rice and beans or that kind of thing. Also, using this knife, this is a carbon steel knife, and it's good to keep it oiled, so it's nice to use it for this purpose, because now I can just wipe it down and then put it away, and it's all oiled up. Here's the shelter for tonight. Got the rapid ridgeline connecting to the tree in there, going across to those smaller trees. And then this is my poncho or my raincoat in a plow point. And that's where I'll be sleeping. So it's about ready for bed. Things are cooling down. Sunset in this canyon a while ago. And even though if I were to walk out of the canyon, it would still be sunny for probably another hour, hour and a half. Just the fact that it's down below these walls makes me a little bit sleepy. So I'm probably just gonna, well, I guess I'll put this video together so it's ready to upload in the morning, but after that I think I'll just go to sleep basically. And hopefully I don't see footprints. It's not likely there's ever any animals coming in here, or at least not very often. And they aren't big animals, because they wouldn't really be able to fit in here. So, and with the coyote thing I mentioned, like I didn't want to be surrounded. There's really no way for them to get back here except going through this spot right here. The brush is all against the wall there. So, and then, I'm sleeping right next to the spring. So, yeah, they would have to come up that or come up this way. And anyways, I don't think anything's gonna bother me tonight. So, all right, it's been a busy day. I feel a little bit tired, Actually did a lot more work than I usually do. So, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider sharing it. If you'd like to help me out in a more substantial way, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/gift. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with me, whether publicly or privately, you can learn how to do so at cahlen.org/one-on-one. Thanks again for watching.